Yes. Mr. Ngqibelo, after having had access to the statement of the Lieutenant Colonel and after consulting, any cross-examination in addition?
There is, my lord.
Yeah.
My lord, I would beg leave to read the statement of to read the statement of the witness.
Read it.
Before laying the basis. Before laying the basis, to read the statement of the witness for the purpose of cross-examining the witness.
Okay. I don't understand. You say you want to read Lieutenant Colonel's
the statement that was disclosed to us.
Yeah.
But I would like to lay the basis for that, please.
You want to?
To lay the basis for the statement that I'm intending to read it.
Yeah, okay.
For record.
Whatever you want to do it. Yeah, but you are not through, eh?
Yes, as it is the court.
Yeah, so continue with your cross-examination.
I don't mind.
Wait. Continue with your cross-examination, having regard to the fact that during your examination it transpired that there was a statement which was made by the Lieutenant Colonel which was not disclosed to counsel before you commenced your cross-examination.
As it is the court.
Right, sir.
Thank you. I earlier on asked you and indicated that on the basis of the number of pointing out that you have made, I put it to you that it looks to me like you were at your fledgling stages of your experience with regard to taking of pointing out, and you said you did not agree with me, and further on I said to you, did you then regard yourself as a person that was experienced in taking pointing out? I did not get your answer clear there. What was your answer?
Yes, I am.
Your experience?
Yes.
Thank you.
Experience pointing outs.
Now, somebody who's just said his experience in taking pointing out, would you agree with me that a pointing out is either an admission or a confession by conduct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ukuthi uma umuntu ekhomba lokho kusho ukuthi ke umuntu ngohlobo kwenzakala ukuthi ukuvuma ke lokho.
So in other words, you understood at the very onset when you were requested by Mr. Gininda that you will be dealing with something akin to a confession.
Yes, my lord.
Thank you.
Bese ngazike lapho nabamfikela ke ukuthi manje ngizosebenza ngento la engathi khona ke umuntu ovumayo.
Now, as an experienced member of the South African Police Services who understands that a pointing out is an admission by conduct and or a confession by conduct, I take it you knew what is required when somebody says, I want to come and make a confession.
Yes, Your Lord.
Thank you.
Yebo ke uma ke nanje umuntu ke onesipiliyoni ke uma umuntu ethi ke ngifuna ke ukuvuma ke ngiyazi ukuthi yini ekufanele ngiyenze.
Would you also agree with me that You were there when Mr. Accused number 1, Mr. Sibiya, appeared before you. You were no longer wearing a hat as a member of the South African Police Services, but by then you were regarded as a peace officer, not so?
Yes, my lord.
Ngizovuma-ke ukuthi nangale nkathi ngikanye naye uMr Sibiya ukuthi ngami sengagqokile-ke manje isigqoko-ke noma ikepusi ukuthi ngiyiphoyisa, kodwa lokhu ababiza ngokuthi-ke i-peace officer.
In other words, you no longer regarded yourself as a police, but somebody who is at a level or equivalent to a magistrate. Not so?
Yes, my lord.
Nokuthi-ke manje ngangazithathi-ke ukuthi sengiyiphoyisa kodwa umuntu osungathi umoya umlinganisa-ke umlinganise nemanje.
Thank you. Now, there is Mr. Sibiya. Let us fast forward to the point where you meeting him. By the way, when did you meet him again for the first time? That encounter, can you take this court through that encounter?
I met him at Albertine SAPS, my lord.
Nahlangana naye-ke e-police station yase-Albertine.
What were the circumstances under which you met him?
There was an argument about handing over of Mr. Sibiya to me, because the member had a concern that if he hands him over to me, he must sign for him on the OB.
Kwakunokuxoxisana-ke lana mayelana nokuthi andluliselwe kimina. Ilunga leli-ke noma imember lena-ke yayithi uma izomdlulisela kumina kuzofanele kube yiyona esayinda i-OB.
So we had to go back to the charge office for me to sign for him. So he was then not handed over to me by anyone. I received him.
Kwase kufanele sibuyeleke manje e-charge office ngiyosayinda khona-ke, okusho ukuthi-ke akekho umuntu omdlulise kumina noma omnikeze kumina, yimina-ke engamamukela.
Thank you. Then you took him to a particular office, I would assume, where the interview then started.
Yes, my lord.
Ngase ngihamba naye-ke kwi-office elithize la-ke i-interview iyaqala khona.
According to the pro forma here, that would have been office number 31 there at Albertine Police Station.
Yes, my lord.
Leyo office-ke kwaku-office 31 khona lapho e-Albertine.
Thank you. Now, we know from what you have just said that in that office is now yourself, most probably the accused, number 1, Mr. Sibiya, and who else was in that office?
No one else, my lord.
Kwakuyithina sobabili kulelo office, akekho omunye owayekhona.
Thank you. May you explain to this court what was the sitting arrangement in that office?
I was sitting next to Mr. Sibiya because the table that I was allocated to was a small table. So
Yes.
I was sitting on his right, he was on my left.
Ngangihlezi eduze kwakhe umnumzana uSibiya-ke kulelo office ngoba itafula esalinikezwe lincane, ngangihlezi ku-right wakhe yena ehlezi ku-left wami.
Thank you. Then you can take this court through what then transpired. You seated next to each other in that office number 31. What then transpires?
And then I went through the notes on the pointing out, and I informed him of the reasons why I was there.
Ngase-ke ngisebenzisa-ke ama-notes lana ayo-ke i-pointing out, mazisa-ke nesizathu sokuthi ngibe lapho.
And I went through the pro forma stage by stage as I had already given evidence.
Ngase-ke iform lena-ke nanjengoba bese ngishilo-ke ngaphambilini ukuthi ngiyiqaleke la iqala khona ngihambe nayo.
Thank you, sir. That's a bit murky. In other words, it's a bit misty. There's no clear indication what you exactly did, because you just say I went through with him the notes on the pointing out, and then I told him the reason why I was there, and then I read him here. Take it step by step. That is what I want to know. You get into the office, you sit on your chairs, he's sitting next to you, there's a table in front of you, then what happens?
the pointing out pro forma then happened. I went through the pointing out pro forma.
Mase sihlezi phansi ke ila engiqale khona ke manje ukuthi kusebenza ngayo ke iform lena ke ye pointing out.
Thank you. Where did you get this form from, or the document from, this pointing out pro forma from?
I came with it.
Lena ke akukho la ngithole ngeza nayo mina ke le form.
Thank you. You're sitting down, he's sitting next to you, you have got this pro forma document on your hand, and then you start to go through it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Lokho ke ngikusho ukuthi sahlala phansi ngase ke ngiqala ke ngayo iform lena.
Thank you. You did not even ask him who his name was.
My Lord, the pro forma even mentions who the name of the person is.
No, the
So it
question...
means for me to have known the name of the person is by me asking him.
No,
Lana
sir.
ke lana
Oh, I'm
le form
sorry,
lena
I'm sorry, I'm
igama
sorry.
lalo muntu libhaliwe ke kusho ukuthi uma libhaliwe la imina engambuza.
No, sir. I've just asked you what you did. You said you sat on the table with accused number 1. Then what you do next time, you start to read the pro forma to him. That's what you said. Now the question is, you did not even ask him who his name was. Not so, because you start by reading the pro forma.
When you read the pro forma, you ask the name, he will give you the name and you write the name, my Lord.
Uma ke usuqala ke ngayo iform ila ubuza khona igama uzokunikeza igama ubusubhala phansi.
Where is it written in the pro forma where you asked who his name was?
My Lord, can I read the pro forma again?
Yes.
I'm cross-examining you. You need to follow me because I'm giving you the lead. Do you understand?
I do not understand, hence I requested to read the pro forma because the question is, where is it written your name is?
Now, if there is something that you don't understand from what I'm asking you, there is nothing that is stopping you from saying to me, Mr. Mnisi, can you please repeat yourself or clarify your question? Do you understand?
My understanding, my Lord, is that answers that I give to the court.
Ngokwami ke ukwazi ukuthi impendulo enginikeza ngazo
Okay. If my understanding is wrong, I apologize.
uma kuwukuthi ke lokhu ke mina ngendlela engazi ngayo kulongo ngalokho ke ngiyaxolisa.
Thank you. Now the question is, in the pro forma, where is it written where you asked him his name? Just pinpoint that. It's not a difficult thing. You don't need to read the pro forma again. Just pinpoint that.
Name Muzika uphulelwa Sithemba Sibiya.
Thank you.
Lana ke kubhaliwe igama kwase kubhalwa ke muzika uphulelwa Sithemba Sibiya.
Thank you. So what you're saying is, before you went through this pro forma, you started by asking him his name, and he said to you, Muzika ukhulelwa Sithemba Sibiya. Is that the first thing that you did when you went through this pro forma with him?
That is where the pro forma starts with the interview.
Ila khona ke la negama khona iform lena iqala khona ke ngayo inhlolo khona.
Thank you, sir. Then from there, what transpired? He's telling you what his name is. Then from there, what is transpiring?
I asked his place of residence
Yes.
or birth,
Yes.
and he said Nongoma in KZN.
Ngase ngimbuza ke la hlala khona noma ke indawo yakhe yokuzalwa kuyona wasethi ke konongoma eKZN.
On sex, I asked him, and he said he's a male.
Ukuthi ke umuntu wesilisa umuntu wesifazane waseke esho ukuthi umuntu wesilisa.
The physical address where he stays, he said he doesn't have a physical address in that area. They're using a school as a reference which is next to him.
Mangimbuza ke ngekheli la ahlala khona washo ukuthi ikheli alikho kodwa ke basebenzisa kunesikole esilapha eduze abasebenzisayo.
Thank you. And you went on to give his age, which was then 34 years.
Yes.
Thank you.
iminyaka yakhe-ke ngaleso sikhathi kwakuwu-34.
Now, at what point of the interview did you fill in the information that is just above the information that you have just read to the court?
This information that I have filled in, I filled it in whilst I was sitting with him.
Lena-ke lena imininingwane ekade manje uyifunda-ke ngayibhala-ke ngalesikhathi engangihlezi naye.
At what point?
Before I started the interview with him.
Ngaphambilini kokuthi ngiqale-ke ngayo i-interview.
Thank you. Now you went on and read all the information to him that is contained in the pro forma. Up until such time, there was a point where you then decided, let's go. After, according to you, he said to you, I want to go and show you certain points, not so?
Yes.
Uthe-ke emuva kuba sekuqedile-ke ila khona sesifikile kwisigaba la ethi manje-ke sohamba-ke ayongikhombisa iy'ndawo ezo nama-points athize.
Is it true that in your evidence in chief, I think there was something that distracted me, but I want to confirm it with you. Is it true that at some point you made mention of the fact that there were some photos as you interviewed him which were taken in the office?
Yes.
Ngishilo-ke noma ngikhulumile-ke ngey'thombe nkathi-ke ngi-interviewer ezathwetshulwa-ke zakhe e-ofisi.
And who took those photos?
The photos were taken by Sergeant Mapakela from Criminal Records.
Iy'thombe-ke zathwetshulwa uSergeant Maphakela we-LCRC.
Thank you. Just a second. I'm not so sure whether the photo album has already been handed to court, my lord. I'm saying this under correction. Sometimes my memory...
It has been handed.
It has been handed.
Yeah.
Thank you, my lord. Now, do you have the photo album in front of you?
Yes.
Thank you. How many photos does it have? The one which is in front of you?
It has photo 1 until photo 31.
Qala-ke ku-1 kuphele-ke ku-31 iy'thombe lezo enginazo.
Yeah, it accords with what I have as well. But nonetheless, my question is as follows. In that photo album, may you kindly take this court to a photo that depicts your office as you were interviewing him?
There is none.
Asikho isithombe la ngihlezi khona-ke naye phansi ngi-interviewer.
Is it correct that you have just told this court that photos of you, pictures of you were taken by Sergeant Mapangela as you and the accused number 1 were seated in the office interviewing him?
No, I never said that.
Angikaze ngithi uMaphakela uthathe iy'thombe noma wathole iy'thombe zami nomsola sihlezi phansi.
He never said that. You can take it from me.
No, thank you, that one. Thank you. What did you say again?
He said the photos were taken by Mapakela.
Yes.
Yes.
My question was, if I were to repeat it, my question was, and I also made mention of the fact that there is something that distracted me when you were at that point, and I said to you, is it correct that in your evidence in chief, you said that as you were seated in the office with accused number 1, photos of you were taken whilst you were in the office?
The answer is it is not correct.
Actually, iqiniso lelo bami ukuthi ngithe bathwetshulwa iy'thombe zami ngihlezi naye umsola e-office.
Yeah, the reason why I had to ask you, can you please show us those photos then, it's because of the answer that I got from you, because I heard you saying yes. Do you understand?
I never said yes, photos of me and the accused were obtained,
Yes.
were taken. I've never said that.
Angikaze ngisho ukuthi yebo ithombe zami nomsolwa zathathwa.
Were any photos of you whilst Mr. Maphakela?
No photos of me with that were taken by Mr. Maphakela whilst I was sitting with the accused.
Azikho ithombe zami ezathethiwa uyena kuMaphakela ngathi ngihlezi naye umsolwa.
Thank you. Why that did not happen? Why were such photos not taken?
My Lord, interview between the accused and myself is done only with me and the accused sitting in the office. That is the interview. The purpose of a photographer only comes in when I request the photographer to come and take specific pictures. He can't sit in and take pictures while I'm interviewing.
Phakathi kwami nomsolwa uma sihlezi lapha ke sine interview imina naye kuphela. Lona ke othobela ithombe ungena noma uza uma ke ukuthi ngifuna ithombe ethize engifisa ukuthi ke ayithathe noma ke ayithwebule akakwazi ukuthi angahlala phakathi abe khona nkathi ngikhulumisana nomsolwa.
Exactly on the same explanation. Why did you not call in the photographer who were interviewing the accused in the office, particularly at the point at which you were showing him your appointment certificates? Why did you not do that?
That would have meant, my Lord, stopping the interview, getting someone in to take a picture and send him out again, continue with the interview, call him again when the time to check on injuries is. It would have been an up and down of that. And then it means he's participating in the interview.
Ukuthi ke manje ngingambizi ukuthi ezazothatha ithombe zami naye ngim-interviewer bekuzosho ukuthi noma ke ngimbonisa certificate sami ke so ithombe baphume uma kufanele futhi ezothobela ithombe ukubheka ukulimala aphinda angene futhi aphinda aphume okusekusho ukuthi manje useyingxenye ke yayo interview.
Mr. Khatebe, I don't want to labor this point. I may simply sum it up by saying the manner in which, or the process that you employed as and when you were interviewing this not this witness, but Mr. Sibiya in that office, it's indicative of the in conducting pointing out.
Yeah, can you lay the basis, sir?
The reason why I'm saying this, very simple and not far-fetched. You are saying the reason why you did not invite the photographer to come and take photos of you while seated there with the accused person is because that would have amounted to interference. Now I'm saying to you, you simply have to call him in for just a minute. He takes a photo or two and then it goes out and then you proceed with the interview. That would not have been an interference, which is the reason why I say, for the fact that you did not do that, it's just indicative of the level of experience that you had in the process of conducting pointing outs.
My Lord, that is not fair. Stopping an interview for a picture has never happened. Maybe you have experienced it somewhere.
Yes.
But we've never stopped an interview for someone to come and take a picture of myself and the accused sitting down.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mhlambe ke lento usuke wahlangana nayo ngaphambilini namakhona la usuke wa experience khona ke kodwa kaze kwenzeke lokho ke ukuthi manje stopeke noma simeke ngenhlolo khona noma interview ukuthi umuntu angena azothola ithomba akaze kwenzeke lokho.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Munisi.
As it is a court.
Is it a statutory requirement that the Lieutenant Colonel is obliged or enjoined to take photographs whom he is going to interview for the pointing out?
It is by convention, my lord.
I talk statutory. Is it a statutory requirement? Section 218A.
Yes, my lord.
Does it make provision for that?
I am saying, my lord, it is by convention.
So it's not by law, it's by convention. Fine, no problem.
Which is the reason why, my lord, if I may add an addendum to what I've just said, which is the reason why it is not only each and every policeman that gets required to go and take a pointing out a confession from a suspect, but people who occupy certain rank, those that are called commissioned officers. That is only based on the understanding that the level at which they are experienced enough to understand what the imports of taking down a confession and conducting it of a pointing out are. But I say it is by convention.
Yes, I've heard you. It's not
Thank
by
you,
law.
madam.
I've heard you.
As it is a court, my lord.
Yes, Mr.
Can council maybe quote or bring proof of that convention that is referring to? I suppose convention means something that is universally practiced.
No. Me, I'm administering law in this court.
Yes.
I want to know whether it's a statutory requirement or not. Convention is not obligatory by its very nature. But the law is obligatory.
Yes.
If it is enacted that this officer, before he takes or during the course of taking a confession or a pointing out, he's obliged to take a photograph seated with the gentleman from whom you are taking this pointing out. Fine.
Indeed, my lord, but what we mean is council referring to standing orders of the police, for instance? If so, then he needs to direct that to the witness. We're trying to establish what is the basis for saying that there is a convention.
Has already given his answer.
As a court.
As it pleases the court.
Yes, Mr. Minister.
I think my colleague is raising a point that will be worthwhile taking on address.
Standing orders.
No, not standing orders.
Because
The point that is just raised.
I've read the standing orders in and out.
Yes, ma'am.
Never heard of a standing order which says he's obliged to take photographs when he's interviewing a prospective interviewee for a pointing out or a confession.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, madam. May I then proceed?
Yes, proceed.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
You further indicated that you understand and you agree that a pointing out amounts to a confession by conduct and an admission by conduct, not so?
That's true, Your Lordship.
Esengishilo-ke ukuthi ukwenza-ke noma ukuvuma-ke noma ukwenza confession noma ukuvuma-ke noma-ke ukwenza pointing out ukuvuma-ke lokho.
Thank you. Now you know, and I think now this is going to be a statutory requirement, that when you take a confession, person must be in his sane and sober senses, must be done freely and voluntarily and without any hint of undue influence, not so?
That's true, my lord.
Lokho-ke ngiyakwazi ukuthi uma umuntu-ke ezokhuluma-ke noma ezovuma-ke kufanele akwenze lokho-ke esefondweni ngokuphelele futhi kungekho nje nokuthi-ke lokho ukwenze ngokuthi-ke agqugquzeke.
Thank you. Now, that is incumbent on the person or on the officer who's taking down the confession or pointing out in this instance to make sure that the person that is before him is not under those factors. The person is not unduly influenced. The person is in sane and sober senses. And what again did I say? The person is not unduly influenced. You know, all those statutory requirements. I knew them when I was still at school, but now they are repeated. Yeah. But the essence of my question is that is incumbent on the person that is about to take on that process to make sure that those requirements on the person that is before him are there, not so.
That's true, my lord.
Kuqiniswa nokuthi ke lokho kufanele kuqinisekiswe ke yilo ohlezi nalo azominterviewa ukuthi konke ke zonke ke lezi besiphethe sisho manje ukuthi ngempela akekho ngaphansi kwazo.
Thank you. And that the person needed to feel free in front of you, not so.
That's true, my lord.
Now, as an officer who says, I'm experienced, what is it that you did to make sure, or what is it that you did to satisfy yourself that all these traits that I've just mentioned that was not unduly influenced, he was free, he was just there on his own? What is it that you did to ascertain those features?
My lord,
Yes.
the proforma says, in his sound and sober senses appear before me, Lieutenant Colonel Hate. If he was not in his sound and sober senses, the interview would not have continued.
Uma kuwukuthi ke wayengekho kwisimo esikahle ke noma ke sinzile ngokwasemqondweni inhlolo khona ke yayingeke.
My question is, I'm not asking you to enroll your form here. My question is, what is it that you did yourself?
I observed.
I'm not done.
I observed.
What is it that you did as a presiding officer, for lack of a better word, to ascertain or to make sure that the person that was before you was free from all these other things which would have rendered the taking of this pointing out or the process of the pointing out irregular?
On my observation, my lord, I observed that he was sound, he was sober.
Ekumbhekeni kwami kumbukeni kwami ngila engabona khona ke ukuthi ke usemqondweni ngokuphelele.
Thank you.
And in continuation thereof,
Yes.
we went through the proforma and he was informed of all his rights,
Yes.
even including the fact that he is not forced to give a statement.
Kwengeza ke kuloko noma uqhubeka ke kuloko sase sisebenzisa yona ke iform echazela onke ke amalungelo akhe kwanokuthi ke akaphoqelekile ukuthi ke aqhubeke umenze statement.
Thank you. Now, as a peace officer, did you at any point bring to his attention the fact that you are not involved in the investigation of this case? You are not involved with any member who could be involved in the investigation of this case? Although you are a policeman, you don't know nothing about this case. Did you ever bring that to his attention?
My lord,
Yes.
I went through the proforma and I went through the proforma. And I would not have been called to participate if I was involved in the investigation.
Ngisebenzileke noma ngisebenzisileke iform lena futhi ke ngaqhubeka ngayisebenzisa ke futhi uma kuwukuthi ngangiyingxenye yethimba eliphenyayo noma ingxenye yophenyo, ngabe angibizwanga-ke ukuthi ngizolekelela noma ngizosiza.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. That I understand. Can you please address my question? Can you please answer my question?
That I did not form part of the investigation. No.
Would that not be interpreted? I think I'm waiting for it to be interpreted.
No, that you did not form part
Of the investigation.
Can you repeat the question? Because it just said no. Then.
Yes, he's answering the question.
Yes.
Because
I just missed the
counsel
question.
asked
Yeah, that's why.
if he did he tell the accused or the future deponent that he is not involved in the investigation.
Yes.
So the answer is no.
Maybe yena abuza kuPenel ukuthi umsolwa umtshelile yini kodwa ungasiyona ingxenye yophenyo uthi ke yena ke cha.
Thank you. Did you at any point ascertain from the future deponent, thank you very much, my lord, ascertain from the future deponent whether prior to him being brought before you, has he been taken to a district surgeon just to go and evaluate him about his state of health and everything?
No.
Thank you.
Ukuthi ke wayesiwe kudokotela ngaphambi kokuthi aze kumina lokho angikuzanga.
Said when I stood up that I won't belong, and indeed I will not belong. But let me put it to you that the fact that you said no to these very last two questions are indicative of the fact that you did not ascertain whether the future deponent, as he was there before you, was before you freely and voluntarily without any undue influence, and ultimately that tainted the credibility and the sanctity of the process that you were just about to embark upon.
I don't believe so, my lord.
Thank you.
I worked according to the protocol.
Ukuthi ke ngiphendule ukuthi cha kwemibuzo emibili ke yokugcina akusho ke ukuthi lokho ke manje kwase kuba ke nomthelela ke noma ukuthi ke indlela ke engenza ngayo noma engasebenza ngayo mina ke ngasebenza
The proclamation.
ngasebenza ngokwendlela
Very much for bringing it to our attention that you indeed made a statement explaining how the pointing out went on as early as 18 July 2020, and today is the 23rd of October 2023. Just finished with the statement. But thank you very much. I've got no further questions to you. I've got no further questions to the witness, madam.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Kumalo.
This is the court, my lord. I do have questions.
Yes.
Lieutenant Colonel, can you go to exhibit GG? Let us start, Lieutenant Colonel, at paragraph 2 of your exhibit GG. At paragraph 2, I'm sorry. Is it correct that that paragraph relates to how you were approached?
Yes.
Yebo ke paragraph 2 uchaza ke indlela ke engacelwa ngayo ke noma ekwakhulunywa ngayo nami.
And just underneath that paragraph, that is paragraph 2, there is options that you must delete, which relates to the manner in which you were approached by a person requesting you to conduct the pointing out.
Yes, madam.
Ukuthi ngenzansi ke lapha yipi indlela ekwakhulunyiswana nami ngayo.
Is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that in the space provided, you then responded by saying that, can you please obtain a pointing out from an accused on my case? Was that supposed to be a response to the question?
The response to the question is, how was the officer approached? And it starts by telephone, personally or otherwise. I scratched personally and otherwise and left by telephone.
Lana ke buzo noma umbuzo uthi ke kwakhulunyiswa kanjani noma kwaziwa kanjani ke kuyena officer base kuno telephone kwaziwa kuyena mathupha noma ke ngenye indlela lezi mbili ngicimile noma ngicishile ke kwase kusala ku telephone.
So on the space provided, where you indicated that he said, can you please obtain a pointing out from an accused on my case, was it not supposed that you indicate that he requested you or you were approached by telephone?
No, it is mentioned already by telephone.
Ukuthi la kule
Because I
ndawo
scratched the two out.
ukuthi kule ndawo engibhale kuyona ke ukuthi wathini bekufanele ukuthi ngathi ngocingo cha lapha sekushiwo ukuthi ngocingo lezi mbili lezi ke yilezi ezisuliwe.
Because just underneath that, at paragraph 3, you are then asked to detail the exact words that a member said when he approached you to be in charge of the pointing out. Then your response was, he said, can you please obtain a pointing out on my case? So it's a repetition.
Yes.
Yebo ke la nizansi la abuza khona ke athi nike amazwi akhe noma ilunga lelo ke uma liza kuwena ke licela ke ukuthi uhole leyo pointing out ngicela ke ungithathele ke ngenzele ke sekubhaliwe ngaphezulu.
So when Brigadier Gininda requested you to be in charge of the pointing out, he only said these words, can you please obtain a pointing out on my case? Then he dropped the phone.
No, I agreed.
Akusu ukuthi nje wathi nje ngicela ke ungenzele pointing out case yami wabese bekucingo ngavuma.
So that was the end of the conversation that you had.
The only thing that I asked from him was when, where.
Uyinto nje mina engambuza yona ukuthi kuphi nendawo nini.
And he explained, hence I came to Albertine.
Wase echaza ke ingakho ke ngaya eAlbertine.
He did not tell you the details of the case.
No, my lord.
Mininingwane yeqala akazange angitshele.
By the details, I mean he did not tell you the charge that you were supposed to conduct the pointing out.
No, my lord.
Neqala ke alithwesiwe ke loyo akazange angitshele.
At page 2, Lieutenant Colonel, you indicated that you asked the deponent the following. He said, was asked whether he was informed of the reason of his arrest as prescribed in section 35 of Act 108 of 1996, which is the Constitution. And then the response was, yes, I was informed, and I was arrested for the drug dealing. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo ke la kuthiwa khona noma kubhalwe khona ke ingaba wabuzwa yini okubuziwe ukuthi wathi njengoba ke usection 35 esho impendulo yathi ke yebo ngatshelwa ngiboshelwe icala lezidakamizwa.
So, Lieutenant Colonel, this pointing out, you were not aware whether it was in relation to a drug dealing or to any other case.
My lord, I have explained to this court that when I in office, reason for arrest, and that he was also in custody on a drug dealing case.
Ngichazele lenkantolo ukuthi ngenkathi ngim-interview ke wangitshela ke noma ushilo ke mina ukuthi yebo bamtshela ke isizathu sokuboshwa kwakhe nokuthi ke ube ngaphakathi noma evalelwe icala lezidakamizwa.
So it is your final answer that when you conducted this pointing out, you are not aware the charge that that person was facing?
Yes.
Kathi ke ngenza ke lokukhomba ke noma le pointing out ngangamazi icala abhekene nalo.
My lord, I was provided with the SAP 10, which is the occurrence book register, and it was marked Exhibit KK of the record. Lieutenant Colonel, do you have Exhibit KK, the SAP 10 register?
No.
Are you going to call the... Wait. Are you going to call the officer who signs that occurrence? It's a book which is used at the cells, is that not so?
Yes, he also made an entry.
Yes. The entry was not made by Lieutenant Colonel Adeb.
There are 3 entries.
See.
And but in any case, my lord, we're going to traverse the occurrence books during the trial within a trial.
Okay.
So it may as well just be handed up at this stage. Exhibit KK.
Now, but the point is, this witness, we want to ascertain from him whether he signed it or not. Can you continue with your cross-examination in that regard, sir?
Yes, thank you.
SAP 10.
SAP 10. Serial number, Lieutenant Colonel 318.
Yes.
It's a second entry of SAP 10 register. It is at 12 hours 24 minutes. Is it correct, before I proceed, Lieutenant Colonel, that you said to arrive at Albertine SAPS at 11:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Ngishilo ukuthi ngafika Albertine ngo-11:30 isikhathi.
At 11:24 a.m., there is an entry there, suspect taken by Lieutenant Colonel Hadebe for pointing out on Phosphorus case 66 of 10, 2014, murder, Muzi Sitemba Sibiya, correctly received. Is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that the signature that is appearing in that entry is your signature?
It's not correct, it's not 11:24, it's 12:24.
I think I had said 12:24. Yes,
It's a human error. Remember, Mr. Lieutenant Colonel talking about human errors.
It's human error. It is at 12:24 p.m.
Nothing to do with experience, I suppose.
Yeah. It is at 12:24 p.m. Suspect taken by Lieutenant Colonel Hadebe for pointing out on Phosphorus case 636 of 10, 2014, murder, 1 Muzi Sitemba Sibiya, correctly received. Is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that the signature that is appearing at the bottom of that entry is your signature?
Yes.
Yebo kuyiqiniso ukuthi signature le elana ke kule ndawo ufunda kuyona eyami.
At what stage did you sign for the accused, Lieutenant Colonel?
After that heckling of up and down where they were refusing to sign for him, and that's at that stage that I signed.
Ukusayinda kwami ke ile sikhathi ke lana ke kunalokuxoxisana khona ke bengafuni ukuthi bamsayindele.
Before you signed in that entry, did you read what is contained in that entry?
I think I would have went through it quickly because I was also not happy with the fact that they could not bring the suspect to me. So, bring the book, I'll sign it. That's what I did.
ukuthi ke ngithi nje kona ke lethatha incwadi ke ngisayindeke ngoba ngicabanga ukuthi ke ngangenyemeke ngokuthi bangafuni ukuthi bamlethe, so ngicabanga ukuthi nje mhlawumbe ngabheka nje ngokusheshsha.
But did you understand the contents of the entry, what was contained there, before you signed?
It was about the suspect, yes.
Ukuthi lokho kubhalwe lana ngaphambi kokuthi ngisayine yebo ukuthi kwakumayelana naye umsolo.
Not only the suspect, and also the charges and the case number for that case.
I did not even have the case number, my lord, and hence I'm saying I might have not overlooked the murder charge that is mentioned.
Ukuthi i-cash number ngangenayo ke kusangenzeka ukuthi kwangenzeka ukuthi angizange futhi ke nokuthi nje ngeqe noma ngibheke ngale kuyona ke icala leli alithweswe elibhaliwe khona lapha yana lokubulala.
Are you saying you just signed without reading fully and understanding what is contained in the entry of
Yes.
the SAP-10?
Yes.
Yebo ngisho kanjalo ukuthi ngangasayinda ke ngingabhekile ukuthi yini ebhalwe lapha yana.
Are you not running away, Lieutenant Colonel, from the fact that you knew when you took the accused by pointing out that what charges he was facing? That is why we are saying that you did not read the entry of the SAP-10 when you signed for him.
My lord, I do not have any reason to run away from responsibility. And I cannot come here and play with the court's time. I take full responsibility of my actions, not running away from anything.
Akukho ke engibaleka kona ke nokuthi ke uma into ngenzile ke ngithi cha angiyenzanga ke nokuthi akunaso nje nesizathu ukuthi ngeza la ngizodlala noma ngichithe isikhathi sami enkantolo. Uma ke ngikwenzile ngizokwamukela ngithi ngikwenzile.
But it is true that I was not aware what the accused was going to point out before I interviewed him.
Kodwa kona ke kuyiqiniso ukuthi ngangazi ukuthi yini le ayezohamba ayoyikhomba ngaphambilini kokuthi ngebe nenhlolo khono noma ngikhulumisane ngihlale phansi ngikhulumisane naye.
Without any hesitation, Lieutenant Colonel, I must put it to you that you knew before you went out with the accused what charge he was facing.
Before I went out to the office or out on pointing out.
Before you went out of the police station for the pointing out, you knew.
For the pointing out, I knew because I had interviewed the accused.
Ngaphambilini kokuthi ngiphumeke epolice station yebo ngangazi ke ukuthi kwakuyini ngoba ngase ngikhulumileke naye.
Maybe we are not along. We are not getting along. I'm saying before you went out with the accused, out of Albert in SAPS, the police station, you knew what charges he was facing.
No. It's true that you are saying maybe we are not on the same page. When I interviewed the deponent, I was not aware what charges was he arrested for, except that he knows what he's arrested for, and he is also in custody on a drug dealing case.
Yebo ngale nkathi ke ngikhulumisana naye ke kuyiqiniso ke ukuthi ke mina ke ngangazi ke ukuthi ayini amaqala ke yena abhekene nawo noma iqala abhekene nalo, kodwa yebo ke wayazi ke uyena wayekwazi ke ukuthi lokho akuboshelweni nokuthi futhi okunye elinye iqala futhi abhekene nalo ke iqala ke leyidakamizwa.
I only became aware of what he was charged for after the interview.
Ngizokwazi ke ukuthi yini ke lena athwesi noma yiphi iqala athwesiwe ke emuva ke ukuthi ngikhulumisane naye.
I'm asking you all this question because in that entry there is the case number, the phosphorus case number 636 of 10/2014, which was a murder case, and which will tell us that you knew when you signed for the accused, that is before you took him out for the pointing out, which charge he was facing. Basically, that is my question.
I've already said, my lord, that I might have overlooked it because I did not even know the case number.
bese ngishilo-ke ukuthi le mininingwane ebhale lana-ke nokuthi-ke wethu esicala lokuqala ongenzeka ukuthi into nje engayexaki engazange ngiyiboneke ngoba-ke ngishilo ukuthi ne-case number ngangayazi.
Lieutenant Colonel, you arrive at 11:30 a.m. The suspect is only taken out for the pointing out at 12:24 p.m. What was happening between 11:30 and 12:24 p.m.?
From 11:30, I did not meet with the suspect. I was at the station waiting to get an indication that they have arrived from wherever they were coming from.
Ukusuka ngayo-ke 11:30 kumele futhi kwazike ukuthi ushilo ukuthi wafika ngo-11:30 kodwa lana-ke bhala ukuthi wakhishwa ngo-12:24 ukuthi bakwenzekani-ke ngaleso sikhathi. Uma ngifika-ke ngo-11:30 angihlangananga naye-ke ngoba ngafika e-police station ngalinda bona ukuthi bafike-ke ukusuka la babe noma yikuphi-ke la babesuka khona.
My colleague Advocate Nisi also referred to a statement, not necessarily referred, but he also mentioned that there was a statement that you made only on the 18th of June 2020 at 12:15. I would like to refer to that statement which you made. I'm not sure, Lieutenant Colonel, whether you do have a copy of your statement.
No.
May I request that the state provide you with a copy? Lieutenant Colonel, I'm going to refer you to paragraph 3. Your statement is not paragraph, but the introduction of your statement will be paragraph 1, and the paragraph starting with on a Thursday will be paragraph 2, and then the third paragraph which I want to refer to will be marked paragraph 3 of your statement. That paragraph reads as follows, and I quote: On Friday 2020-06-05 at about 11:30, I arrived at Albertine Police Station. I was afforded an office number 31 to use. At about 1200 hours, Sergeant Baloyi from Albertine Police Station brought in a handcuffed person who identified himself as Muzika Ukulela Stemba Sbiya. I informed Mr. Sbiya of my presence, and I informed him that I am the Justice of Peace and hold the rank of a Lieutenant Colonel, close quotation, to confirm the contents of that paragraph.
Yes.
Lokhu okubhalwe lana-ke ukuthi kwangoLwesihlanu i-5 kuJune 2020 11:30 isikhathi ngafika-ke Albertine Police Station ngase nginikezwa-ke ihhovisi unumber 31 ukuthi ngilisebenzisa ngo-12 uSergeant Baloyi walapho Albertine Police Station wase eletha-ke umlisa-ke owayefakwe ozankosi owayichaza-ke yena noma wazothula nanjengomuzika ukhulelwa Stemba Sibiya. Ngase ngimazisa-ke uMr Sibiya ukuthi ukuba khona kwami lapho ukuthi kwakungani, ngase ngimazisa-ke nokuthi-ke ngiyi-Justice of Peace nokuthi-ke isikhundla sami-ke ngiwu-Lieutenant Colonel ukuthi-ke beyaqinisekisa-ke lokhu okubhaliwe laphaya.
Is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that in Exhibit GG, where you were supposed to indicate the person who brought the deponent to you, you left it out? The reason being, that is the reason that you provided before this court, was that no one was prepared to bring the deponent to you.
To sign.
Yes, to sign.
Not
Yes,
to bring.
to sign. Yes, to sign. Thank you, my lord. Is it correct? That is the position.
Yes.
Ngisichazile-ke isizathu laphayana ukuthi-ke kwakungani-ke imbangela ukuthi mina ngisayindeke ngoba-ke kwayengekho oyimisela ukuthi asayindeke noma amkhipheke umsolo.
Is there an officer? Okay, before I get to that, is it correct that your evidence in chief is to the effect that you ended up going to the CSC to sign for the deponent?
Yes.
Ngishilokho ukuthi ngase ngiya-ke mina lapho kumasele ngiyosayina.
What happened after you signed for the deponent?
Because he was in cuff and I was going to go with him, they had to remove their handcuffs and I put in mine. And then we went to Office 31.
Ngoba ke wayesemanje efakwe ozankosi ke futhi ke wayezohamba nami ke kwakufanele ukuthi bakhiphe ke labo abafakwe babefakwe ibona ozankosi mina ke ngifake abami bese siyahamba ke siya ku Office 31.
What was the problem, Lieutenant Colonel, if he was brought in their handcuffs? If the deponent was brought in their handcuffs, you said you had to replace the handcuffs.
Because I was going to drive with him out on a pointing out. So I can't take their cuffs. Handcuffs are allocated to individual members, which they must stand inspection there. So I could not take a member's cuffs and leave with him.
Wayezohamba nami ke eyokhomba noma eyoke pointing out ama handcuffs umekhishwa ke akhishelwa umuntu othize ngangeke ke ngihambe nama handcuffs akhishelwe omunye umuntu mina ngihambe nawo.
But is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that before you drive with him to wherever to point the scenes, you were still going to via office number 31?
That's true.
Kuyiqiniso ukuthi ngaphambi kokuthi ngizohamba naye ke siye noma ikuphi ke sasoqala ke ku Office 31.
Lieutenant Colonel, between your version, the version that you mentioned in your evidence in chief, that you had to sign for the deponent, as you have indicated that after you signed for the deponent, you took him to office number 31. And what is contained in your statement, more particularly paragraph 3 of your statement, that the deponent was brought by Sergeant Baloyi, which is correct, and which one must the court accept?
The deponent was brought by Sergeant Baloyi, who refused to sign for the deponent to allow me to take him with for interview and pointing out. We went back and I signed for the deponent and I gave Baloyi back his handcuffs.
Lana ke kwenzeka ukuthi ke umsola lona ke walethwa uyena uSergeant Baloyi kodwa ke owanqaba ukuthi ke angisayindeleke ukuthi ngimthathe kume naye siye ku pointing out ekwaphoqalaka ukuthi ke sibuyele emuva ke ngihambe ngiyosayina mina ngibese nginikeza uBaloyi ke ozankosi bakhe.
Do you confirm, Lieutenant Colonel, that it is not in your statement that Sergeant Baloyi refused to sign for the deponent? You had to go back to the CSC and again sign for the deponent, then again going back to your office that was allocated to you, office number 31. That is not contained in your statement.
My Lord, it is not contained in my statement. But if you further read my statement, you will see that is where I mentioned that I even signed for him, and I signed for him when he went back.
Yebo ke lokho ukuthi ke uBaloyi wanqaba ke basefuneka kubuyele ke kuma cells ngiyosayina ngiphinde ngibuyele ku office 31 akukho la kodwa ke uma uqhubeka nosifunda ke kukhona ke la ekushoyo khona ke ukuthi ngamsayindela futhi nokumsayindela futhi ukuthi abuye.
Lieutenant Colonel, besides you making a statement, the one that I've referred to, is it correct that in addition to that statement you did not make notes of the pointing out?
That's true.
Kuyiqiniso ukuthi kule statement esanika sense awekho ama notes engawenza ayo pointing out.
In your past experience, that is the experience in this procedure of conducting pointing out, did you compile the pointing out notes?
No.
Ngaphambilini angikaze ngikwenze ke ama notes pointing out.
Do you still reaffirm, Lieutenant, that you drove from Albertine police station and you stopped at the entrance of Phosphorus? Do you still confirm that?
Yes, I did not drive. I was being driven.
Yes, by driving, I mean you yourself being in the vehicle.
Yes.
Yes.
Ngisasho ke futhi ukuthi sahamba ke sayofika ke la ekwakuthiwa khona ke i-entrance yase-Vosloorus kodwa kwakungasimina ke oshayelayo.
From the point when you were at the entrance of Vosloorus, who was giving the directions to the scene?
The accused was giving directions to the driver.
Ukusuka la esama khona ke Vosloorus la kuthiwa i-entrance ke umsolo wakhe owayetshela ke umshayeli ukuthi ashayele kanjani.
If you can estimate, Lieutenant Colonel, what is the distance in kilometers from the point at the entrance of Vosloorus to the crime scene?
My lord, it's less than maximum a kilometer.
Ngathi nje kuningi ke kungayikilometer ibanga ke ukusuka la ngithi khona ke esema khona ke la eseqala khona ke manje ukuthi atshele umshayeli ukuthi ahambe kanjani ungaphansi kwekilometer ukuya la kwisini.
Is it a single street, or there are streets that you have to join or enter?
How is that going to help us solve this case, Mr. Mawat?
I'm going to
How
the
is it going
notes.
to help us whether there are 16 streets here to traverse and there were 3 circles which you had to engage? The point is, please, let's get along with this. Some evidence is irrelevant and not material. Because the witness point of view, he says they went there, the driver was shown directions by Mr. Sibiya. Take it from there, whether they actually reached the points which were pointed by Mr. Sibiya or not.
Did you take any photos of the kilometer reading when you reached the entrance of Vosloorus?
No.
Uma sifika ke la nendawo echaza njenge ekungena khona ke Vosloorus akuthenganga angithathanga ke ama pictures ukuthi manje i-reading noma i-mileage ibithini.
I'm just going to go through your statement. I'm going to jump paragraph 4 and go to paragraph 5 of your statement, which reads as follows, and I quote: "We then drove to Vosloorus as directed by Mr. Sibiya, and was driven by Warrant Officer Nailana from Gauteng Serious Corruption Investigation Unit." Close quotation. You see that paragraph?
Yes.
Ngiyabona ke la ethi sesihamba ke siya eVosloorus njengoba uMr. nomnumzana uSibiya ke wayechazela ke umshayeli futhi ke umuntu wayeshayela ke kwaku Warrant Officer Nailana wase Gauteng Serious Corruption Investigation Unit.
Is it correct that that paragraph states that from Albertine Police Station you then proceeded or drove to Vosloorus as directed by Mr. Sibiya, and the driver of the vehicle was Warrant Officer Nailana? You confirm that?
It is correct.
Kuyiqiniso ukuthi ngale ndlela ke ebhalwe ngayo noma efundeka ngayo ke le sentence ukuthi ukusuka ke Albertine kwaku uSibiya ke ositshela noma owayetshela ke udriver ama directions ukuya eVosloorus.
Is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that from that paragraph that I've read to you, and in your statement it is nowhere that you from Albertine you stopped at the entrance of Vosloorus? That is where the accused started to give you direction to the scene.
My lord, I never said we stopped at the entrance of Vosloorus. In my evidence I said the accused requested the driver to drive him until to the entrance of Vosloorus. We never stopped.
Angikaze ngisho kubufakazi bami ukuthi ke la ingena khona ke eVosloorus ukuthi safika sema ke lapho ngathi ke umsolo wamcela ke umshayeli ukuthi akahambe ke ayofika ke la engena khona noma ke kwi-entrance yaseVosloorus asikaze sime.
Okay, let me put it, Lieutenant Colonel, in the manner that you have put it. Is there anywhere in your statement where you detail that from Albertine Police Station you then drove to the accused said if you can drive him up to the entrance of Phosphorus? Is it anywhere in your statement?
As directed says all.
Uma ngifunda lana uthi ke ngendlela ke esatshelwa ngayo noma ke esadirectwa ngayo lokho nje kuyakusho konke.
I will leave that for argument. Lieutenant Colonel, is it correct that you indicated that the rights that you explained to the accused are the one contained in the pro forma, that is Exhibit GG, on page 2?
Your question? I beg your pardon, I did not hear
I'm
you.
waiting for the answer from you.
I did not hear you. That's
Oh,
why
yes,
I'm saying
you
I beg
must
your
ask me
pardon.
to repeat the question. I'll repeat it for you. The question was, is it correct that the rights that you explained to the accused are the ones that are contained in the pro forma Exhibit GG?
Yes.
Amalungelo ke iwona la abhaliwe la ku page 2.
The rights that you explained to the accused, which are contained on page 2 of the pro forma, in terms of Section 35 of the Constitution, Lieutenant Colonel, do you know the category of person to whom they belong?
Yes.
It is in relation to which category of
Of
persons?
arrested persons.
Amalungelo ke abhaliwe noma akutholakala ke na ku section 35 amalungelo ke aphathelene noma amayelana nomuntu ke oboshiwe.
Is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that not all the rights as contained in Section 35, 1A to F of the Constitution are not detailed in that paragraph?
Yes.
Kuyiqiniso ukuthi nanje kuba ekhona ke kuya ncwadi ke yomthetho sisekelo awabhaliwe onke ke la kule paragraph.
Yes.
Do you know, Lieutenant Colonel, whether the accused had appeared before another officer for a confession statement?
No, my lord.
Ukuthi ke waye phambi komunye ke noma ke ikhona officer ke wayeke wavela ke phambi kwayo evelela ke mhlambi ukuthi ke avule isifuba ke noma akhulume ke angikwazi lokho.
Do you know that the accused, the one who appeared before you for a pointing out, was arrested on the 30th of May 2020? Did you know that or not?
I did not know, my lord.
Ukuthi ke wayeboshwe nge-30 sika May 2020 lokho ngangakwazi.
Did you know, Lieutenant Colonel, that that person, that is the accused person or the deponent, had appeared in court from the 1st of June to the 5th of June before he appeared before you? Did you know that or not?
Ukuthi ke wayevelile phambi kwenkantolo ngangikwazi ke lokho.
I also see, Lieutenant Colonel, that there are thumbprints on the sides, both sides of the page. This is on page 2. Whose thumbprints are those?
They are the ones of the accused.
Kunayithupha ke ebekiwe ke lana ke kwi-page lena ke emaceleni ke kwenye page kanye nasenzansi ezakhe umsolo.
Which thumbprint is that? Is it the right or left thumbprint?
My lord, is the right hand thumbprint.
Isithupha ke sesandla sakho sokudla.
Is it correct, Lieutenant Colonel, that you did not indicate in that thumbprint whether it was the left or right thumbprint?
Yes, that's correct.
What was the significance of that thumbprint? I see it's on both sides of the section which provides for the accused rights that you said you read.
Please, I don't think that question supposition is right that she did not indicate which thumb was put on the document. If one looks at page 5, it says that the right thumbprint.
On that page, I did see on page 5, on that page. I'm more particular.
If you saw that, what does it say?
It says the right.
Now it must be asked whether it's the right. Can you differentiate between right and left?
Yes, my lord.
Thank you.
Umehluko ngiyawazi-ke phakathi kwe-right no-left.
What was the use of you asking the accused to place his right hand thumbprint there on that page?
To acknowledge, my lord, that I informed him of his rights.
Lana-ke ukuthi noma-ke kubaluleka-ke ukuthi kabeke-ke isithupha sakhe laphayana ukuthi nje avumeke ukuthi amalungelo akhe ngamchazele.
Was it not for the deletions that you made?
No, my lord.
Kwangasikona-ke ukuthi khona la engisule khona-ke wayengenzeli lokho.
Were you also not supposed to sign next to the thumbprint that he placed there? To place your signature?
No, I don't think it was necessary.
Ngicabanga ukuthi-ke sesikhona isidingo sokuthi-ke lapha abeke isithupha sakhe nami kufanele ngisayine khona.
Is this form, Lieutenant Colonel, the form that we use provides for the provisions where you had to state that since you were satisfied that the deponent is in his sound and sober senses and he freely and voluntarily, without any undue influence, wish to proceed with the funding out. Is there any provisions for that question in the form that you were using?
Initially, my lord, the question is, there is provision, and it changes to, is there any provision? So I do not understand the question.
Let me make you understand the question fully. Is there a provision in the form where you satisfy yourself that the deponent is in his sound and sober senses without having been undue influenced thereto, and he voluntarily wished to proceed with the funding out?
Yes, there is.
Ikhona-ke indawo la khona-ke kufanele lizeneze khona-ke ukuthi ngempela-ke uma ezokwenza-ke noma-ke ezokwenza-ke pointing out ukuthi-ke akukho-ke umthelela-ke noma-ke obe nomthelela noma umgqugquzele ngendlela engafanele noma engasiyona nokuthi futhi-ke usemqondweni ngokuphelele. Ikhona-ke leyo ndawo la kwiform.
On which page?
Page 2, paragraph 6.
Page 2, paragraph 6.
I don't see that. Okay, where it says he is further asked if he still wishes to point out the sins and or points, and his reply is this, then he provides the response.
Yes.
Ila ishoyo khona-ke ukuthi uyabuza-ke ukuthi usafisa yini ukuthi-ke aqhubeke nokuthi akhombeke wase qhubeka-ke ethi usafisa-ke.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you, Madam. I have no further questions.
Yes. Ms. Mshonana?
My Lord, due to the lateness of the time, can I ask to resume tomorrow, my Lord? It's 3 now.
Okay. Mr.
That is in order.
Okay, yeah, fine. Postpone then to tomorrow. Are you available again?
I am available, madam.
Okay, tomorrow 10 o'clock.